One particular challenge that I've heard from folks over and over is related to data gaps. So
Yeah.
a lot of authorizers are feeling a little bit nervous about how they're going to make some of their high stakes decisions around renewals, around closure, around even whether or not new schools should be allowed to open, if there are certain traditional data measures that aren't going to be available to them. And I'm wondering if your office has sort of faced a similar challenge, and if so, what you all have done or maybe are planning on doing to address that.
I'll say that the biggest traditional authorizing focus challenge that we face is missing data, missing outcomes on standardized tests. And so we didn't take the test in 1920. Students didn't take the test this past year. And so we'll be missing those outcomes forever. And frankly, I'm anxious to see how this coming year plays out and whether or not tests will be administered. But at the very least, we'll be establishing a new normal or a new set of baseline results that will definitely impact our work for years. The gap is a big deal, but a couple things. One, our framework and really our renewal evaluation altogether looks at the entire term of a charter school. So in Pennsylvania, it's typically a 5-year term. We're looking at all of those other years of outcomes already. We're going to consider them and we're going to try to piece together as much as possible for our schools in renewal, given all their prior performance, given what we can extract from 2019-20, and try to put together the fullest picture that we can and see if we can get to the point of a clear recommendation for their next term. In the event that that missing year, that this past year is really the make or break year for any single school, then we'll have to consider something like a 1-year renewal, which we're permitted to do here in Philly, and then come back to them next year or the next time they have outcomes, and then put that in and then really consider the full picture there. But it's a real struggle. And our commitment to our schools is that we know that that gap exists. We're not blind to it. And we're going to take everything that we have from all those other years, which were not throwaway years. 1920 was not a throwaway year. And so we're going to still take all that we have and try to put together the fullest picture that we can with every single school this year.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of authorizers who are in that same position. So I appreciate you talking a little bit about how you all are thinking about it. And just so other folks know as well, it's something that NACSA is thinking deeply through. We're working with a number of different stakeholders, authorizers, et cetera, to really try and think through what the best scenarios might be for authorizers in that particular position. So resources and thoughts to come, but really helpful to hear from how people are already thinking about it.
Yeah, and just one last piece, kind of connected to your earlier question about support, but also to just working with our schools. I think another particularly challenging part of the pandemic has been just the extended closure and what that means for students. So putting academics, putting even learning and authorizing aside for a moment, we know that students are more likely to experience harm and trauma when they are away from school, especially when they're away from school for so long. And so if all goes well and we reopen around Labor Day, that's like a 6+ month break away from school. And that's going to have impacts on students that we aren't fully able to process right now. And maybe we will never fully understand them. And so that's a really significant kind of human challenge that we're also not blind to, that we're also trying to figure out how we think about in a structured way, but also, again, just to support our schools as they seek guidance on how they should be supporting their students when they actually get to see them in person again.
Absolutely. That students first has to be the lens which we view everything through.